All right, so Brad Tavares, it is fight week again for you. You've been here once or twice before, but what's the feeling like right now as you're kind of finalizing and getting ready to go compete on Saturday night?
Feeling great, woke up, weight was on point. Um, Energy, just feeling that like the one thing I noticed right away when I went to work out this morning is that my body, I've been doing this for so long, my body already knows that this week I can already tell. I'm just like walking around and I'm starting to sweat, so it can sense what is about to come and what is about to happen, so it's a good sign.
That's awesome, man. You know, it's funny. I ran into you a couple months ago. I had my son with me, and I was like, "Hey, I want you to
Yep.
meet Brad." I was like, "He's been in the UFC for 10 years," and you were very polite. You were like, "12, actually, John. I've been in for 12 years, man. I mean, that's pretty amazing. 12 years. I mean, did you ever think back then, the Ultimate Fighter, I'm going to be in the UFC for 12 years?"
I mean, honestly, you don't even like think that far ahead, or I don't anyway. I know there's a lot of people that, they set these like long-term goals and whatnot, and me, I kind of just like set my short-term ones and what I want to accomplish. Um, and then now, like looking back at it, it's like it's crazy, Like I can still remember getting the call for the Ultimate Fighter. Talking to them about everything what was gonna happen, even doing all the tryouts and all of that, and it's funny now because now I'm at the age where some of the older guys that I was in the house with are at, I'm 34, I think there was like a 32, 33 in there, and at the time I was 21, 22 years old, so it come a long way.
It's crazy. I always remember that you were working at Hawaiian Airlines at the time, and I
Yep.
thought that was so smart because I was like, okay, listen, the dude can always get back home if he needs to because he works for the airline. So I'm just curious. I mean, was that like your backup plan? Like, if the fighting thing didn't work out, were you like, I'll just keep working for the airline, or was that just kind of to get you through?
No, so in Hawaii, obviously it's so expensive. You need to work. We don't have the luxury of being able to, like I see, which is a great thing, which is why I always tell a lot of young fighters like, hey, come out here to Vegas because it is so affordable here. There's a bunch of full-time fighters here, so you can get training any time of day and then, be able to work on the weekends or at nights or whatever it may be. In Hawaii, it's a little different. There's not really a whole night industry going on. Everybody pretty much works like a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday type of deal. So I had the airlines job kind of early on, and I was working there. And my plan, Brandon Wolf, our old coach, set this goal up for us. Okay, in 2 years, 2 years time, we're gonna fight here in Hawaii. We're gonna win everything that we can, whatever belts we can, clean out the regional, the Hawaii circuit, and then the big plan was move to Vegas. So I had been working for Hawaiian, and it just so happens like almost 2 years to the day that we came up with that, or he came up with that plan for us. A job opening within the company opened up. I put in for it. I got awarded the job, and then I was like, okay, so when do I have to move to Vegas? They're like, oh, next pay period, so 2 weeks. I have to pack up everything and be in Vegas in 2 weeks. I was like, whoa, okay. So anyway, I got it done, did it, got to Vegas, and was working at Hawaiian. Even while I was in the Ultimate Fighter, I was able to use vacation days, sick days, and trades just to get through that time because like I always like to have a backup plan just in case. You never know what's gonna happen. And then once I kind of made it, like, all right, I made it through the show. I did fairly well. Then I was like, you know what? It's time to just focus on fighting. So that's when I quit the. I never thought like, I never looked at Hawaiian like, oh, my long-term backup plan. Obviously, if fighting didn't pan out, I would want to do something different than work at an airlines. But it was what I needed in the meantime.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, it all did work out for you, of course. Like you said, 12 years later, still in the UFC. International Fight Week, man. I mean, loaded card. This card is crazy. I mean, the fact that you're on the prelims just goes to show how deep this card really is. Do you
Yep.
get excited? Like a little extra level. I mean, I know a fight's always an exciting time. It's a chance to work. It's a chance to get a paycheck. It's a chance to do what you love to do. But does it excite you to be on a card that's like this loaded from top to bottom?
Definitely, because I feel like like one thing that I'll say about last time I fought, which was last year on this same fight week card, it was the first card back in Vegas that had fans, right? I was lucky enough to have fought in Abu Dhabi where they allowed limited fans. So we still had kind of an arena, but not like that full sold out, like that energy. Anyway, going into the ceremonial weigh-ins, that place was packed and just you could feel the energy of the people, and man, I just soaked it up. I loved it. It makes you feel alive. So I think that, being on these type of cards where it's stacked top to bottom, card is probably sold out, people are struggling to get tickets, everybody's trying to get a ticket, it's gonna be a full house, and I think it brings the energy, and that gets me going.
I love it, man. Like you said, it's been a year. We thought we were going to get to see you in December. What
Yep.
happened there, Brad? What happened there that you had to withdraw?
Yeah, so before the Omari fight, I actually had injured my elbow. And I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think it was that serious. I figured, whatever. So we were working on it with the physical therapy staff at the PI, and they were taking care of it really well. Anyway, it got like a little worse, and it got to a point where I couldn't straighten my arm. So I was like, oh, let's go get an image then. So I went to go get an image, and it turns out I actually fractured my elbow, tore my UCL. I had a strain and like some bone bruise, grade whatever, blah blah blah. So I was like, all right, like like how do you fix this or whatever? I thought for sure like I'm gonna have to do surgery. I think they had sent the images out to somebody and they're like, yeah, probably surgery. But I was like, you know what, just get me through the fight, and we'll deal with it after the fight. So they got me through the fight, and funny enough is that a lot of that time spent in that camp leading up to the Omari fight, I think I spent more time thinking that I wasn't going to be able to make it, but just praying that, okay, please God, just get me through the fight. And between that and like I said, the amazing staff at the UFC PI, Heather, Bobby, Tara, Ryan, all of them, top to bottom, they got me through it. And like 2 weeks out, I just felt like super confident in it. I was like, okay, it's not an issue right now. I can do it. So got through the fight, ended up breaking my foot on literally the last kick in the fight against Omari. 10 seconds left, broke my foot. So I was like, all right, this will help me heal up my elbow. I'll probably have to do surgery. Anyway, they imaged it again. They said I made my elbow a little bit worse. Whatever, I expected that. It was a good fight, tough guy. But then I went to go see a doctor, and they're like, "Oh, no surgery." So I was like, "Okay, cool." So they just did stem cells, rest, which I had to rest anyway because I broke my foot. So did all of that. Took the fight with Brendan, got back into camp, ended up hurting the elbow again. So I was like, you know what? I got through it once before. Let's do it again. So we tried to do it. They sent me to go get another opinion. And that doctor as well said, I don't think surgery is the best option. I was like, all right, cool. So he gave me a cortisone shot, which completely took out all the pain. But in doing so, now that I'm able, I was like, I'm gonna push it as hard as I can and see like where I'm actually at. I just made me realize like how over those months, from before the Omari fight, just babying it and using other things to overcompensate, how weak my arm had become, a lot of atrophy. So I ended up having to withdraw. They sent me to the best guy in the country, Neil Elatrach. Um, and I went out to see him, and man, that dude just like knew right away what was up, why it was this, why it was that. He was like, "Look, let's just do the surgery. We'll clean it up. You'll be back in no time." So we did it, and now elbow feels great. So honestly, looking back at it, I wish I would have went to see him right after Omari fight, because then I would have made that fight with Brendan. But everything happens for a reason. It is what it is.
Brad, what is it with you and doctors, man? You got to go to like three, four, five doctors every time you go out there to figure out what's going on, man.
Yeah, and you know what? It's because like up until 2000, what was that, 18 or 19, I had never had a surgery in my life, and then over the past couple years, I've had to have three of them. And that first experience with surgery was terrible for me. The worst experience of my life. Waking up from the anesthesia, I felt so shitty. So I'm always trying to avoid surgeries if I can. Even when I tore my ACL, I tried to do a month of what ended up being prehab, but it was rehab at the time, to just see if I could, not have to do the like go like people go without their ACL. So I was like, you know what, maybe I can do it because I just want to avoid surgery. Anyway, I couldn't. So I think when the first doctor told me, "Oh, no surgery," I was just like, "Oh, music to my ears." So Yeah, in hindsight, I should have probably seen like multiple opinions right off the jump. But when he was like, he was, I've heard good things about this guy, and he's one of the top guys here in town. So I was like, all right, I'll take his word for it.
Yeah, that's my advice to you, Brad. As a longtime friend, I'm gonna say for now, when you go to the doctor, I want you to go to 3 doctors every time, man. That's
Yeah,
what we're doing.
and, and now I'm gonna right off the rip, I'm gonna look up who the best guy in the country is. Like wherever he is, I'm gonna go to him.
Love it.
Luckily, ended up being right next door, like an hour plane ride back and there and back, and so it wasn't too bad.
That's awesome, man. All right, well, you're back to 100%. That's good to hear. You got an opponent here, Dricus du Plessis. Not that you're not used to fighting big, tough, strong guys throughout your career, but this is another one of them. Doesn't have a
Yep.
lot of history in the UFC, but he does have a great track record in his career. What do you think about him as an opponent?
Definitely got to where he is for a reason. Um, and has had great showings in the UFC. I think the greatest thing for him is that he's like a little bit awkward, and that really works for him. He's different than what you normally are used to seeing. So I think he's a very game and tough opponent. So definitely got my work cut out for me. But that being said, again, like I think I'm the better fighter. And Saturday I'm gonna go out and prove it.
I love it. When they come to you with names like this, Brad, do you ever hesitate at all? Like, hey man, I'm ranked. Like I've been here. This dude just got here. He still needs to prove himself a little bit first. I mean, I think skill wise, he's a worthy adversary. But if you're just one of
Yep.
those guys that looks at rankings, you could go, hey man, I'm ranked. He's not. Does that stuff cross your mind, or are you more of just like, hey man, whoever, just get me a fight?
Yeah, at times, yeah, like if I'm riding a heavier streak, which I have been in the past, 4 fight, 5 fight, 6 fight, whatever it may be, yeah, you definitely that puts you closer to that title shot. So I think it makes more sense to go ahead and fight a higher ranked or a higher profile guy. But like yeah, I'm coming off of I'm on a nice little 2 fight win streak. But yeah, I've been out of injury for a year, so I'm not expecting anything. So when they come to me with a guy like this, I'm like, all right, let's do it. And I think the great thing is that I get to fight right here in my new adopted hometown. And right there at T-Mobile, I love T-Mobile, so it's a great opportunity for myself as well.
So here's what I'm wondering. You go fight Saturday night. It's early in the night. You get your hand raised. You got your 2 checks. Do you go home and kick it with the family and celebrate, or do you take your seats, go sit down in the audience because you want to watch Max Holloway compete?
Well, they don't give us that opportunity anymore, so it's been years now. Like, yeah, so if you wanted to go sit in some seats, you'd have to have tickets, like, which they do give us tickets, but those tickets is always for family. But nah, I rather just get back home to my family. I live very close. There's no more of this quarantine bull crap. So I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna get my hand raised. I'm gonna do my media obligations, come speak to you guys, whatever it may be, and I'm gonna head straight home and watch the rest of the fights from the comfort of my couch. So that's my plan.
I love it. I love it. All right. So then after that, what's the plan for the rest of 2022, Brad? I know maybe you can't carve it out exactly, but after a year off, are you talking about like, hey, let's try to turn this thing around quickly? Or is it let's stay in Vegas the next time? I mean, what do you see for yourself the rest of this year?
Definitely looking at the last couple of fights, what happened and how things went. First things first is I'm gonna have to make sure that I'm injury free. It's that's one of the comes with the fight game. So we'll go from there and we'll assess there. If I'm injury free, I'm gonna come right back to training. I got 2 training partners in Punahele Soriano, Ty Guerder, who have been really helping me out and have fights coming up in 2 weeks. I think Ty fights on July 15 and Puna on July 16 in Long Island. So I'm gonna come back and whatever they need, whatever I can give them for the last week or two, I'm gonna give them that. And then once they don't need me, then I'll probably take a little break off. And Ali and I will, along with the rest of my team, Ray, Eric, we'll go back to the drawing board and see what makes sense.
I love it, man. Well, we'll see how it all plays out. It all starts on Saturday night. Got to get the hand raised, get out of there injury free. I guess last thing, Brad, what kind of fight are you anticipating? Like I said, big, strong, tough dude, but you've been in there with all of them. Is this a fight that you can get in and get out quickly, or are you feeling like, oh man, we're gonna have to be ready to go a hard 15?
So mentally, I always prepare myself to go that hard 15, and through camp, that's the type of training that we do. Uh, that's the type of situations we put ourselves in, so that if we do go that full 15 straight dogfight war, I'm ready for it, both physically and mentally. I'm ready for it. So I'm expecting nothing less. But if we go out there and ends up being 30 seconds, puts them down, whatever it may be, submission, hey, I'll take it. I'll take it how I get it.
I love it, man. Those battles are great for the fans, but sure it's a lot easier if you can just go throw one punch and go home, right?
100%. 100%.
I
Bro,
love it.
I
All
got a
right,
little
Brad.
fun. Before we wrap up, I got a little
Yeah,
funny story for you because it just
let's.
happened. So, anyway, everybody at the PI, they know, like, I love to ice bat. So, I hopped in ice bat. I was in there, I think, 25, 26 minutes. And usually, what I do is that I'll go jump in the hot tub and kind of equalize my core temperature, just because I had been in the ice bat so long. Anyhow, I knew I had this interview coming up. I wanted to, get some food in, whatever, not be rushing, not be late. So I was like, you know what? I'll just hop in ice bath. I'll just shower. I'll go home. I'll turn on my heater on the way home. I'll get warm. So whatever. I do that. Ice bath straight out. I gotta go put back a few things at the PI that I used. Um, I walk into the bathroom, and by this point I'm shivering. A few people had stopped to talk to me, like the staff and whatever. I'm shivering. I walk into the locker room. I go walk towards the showers. I turn the corner to go grab a towel to shower, and my opponent is standing right there. And I just, it caught me so off guard. I have no issues with him. I've not seen him say a bad thing about me or, be disrespectful in any way. So I have no, like, other than we're gonna fight on Saturday, I got no issues with the guy. But it just like straight caught me off guard. I did not expect to see him there. I was fucking shivering, like freezing. I just got out of the ice bath. So I'm like, he looks at me, I look at him, and I'm like, we're like kind of like just at a loss for words. And I'm just like, I stick out my hand to shake his hand. I'm like, oh, how are you, brother? Like, just the weirdest shit ever. I just thought it was funny. I got in the shower, I just was laughing. I was like, oh
Oh,
man. Like
that's
again, like
funny.
I like it wasn't like I anticipated to see him, or even if I knew I was gonna see him, did I have anything in my head? Like I said, I got no issue with him, but it was just fucking awkward. Like a lot of times the other guys there are Russian or from Europe or whatever. They don't speak English, so everything is just like, hey brother, how are you, brother? Like like they understand that. They don't understand that. So I think that's just my line there. Like, even some of the workers, they don't speak English, and so I'm like, hey, how are you, brother? Like the cleaning crew and stuff. And so it was just funny. I was just like, dude, what the fuck just happened?
He's he's probably thinking to himself like, why is this dude shivering over here? Like, what's wrong with him?
Yeah, shivering and fucking like, oh wow, he's really nice. But yeah, I figure I'd leave you with that, man. It just happened.
I love it, man. Great experience behind the scenes on Fight Week. Well, Brad, I appreciate the time. I guess I'll see you at the weigh-ins, and we'll see you get it
Yep.
done on Saturday night, man.
See you there. I appreciate you, John. Thank you all as always.